What's up, DIY Nation? Welcome back to YouFloor, the channel bringing you tips and tricks to help you with your next flooring project. And today, as promised, we're going to be installing laminate up against an exterior door. Now this goes for all types of floorings, whether you're doing LVP, whether you're doing laminate, hardwood, engineered wood. You can install your flooring the way that I'm going to be doing it today. I'm going to be going over a couple different ways of doing it. So we're going to try to cover all those ways and whether or not we're going to be using quarter round or just some kind of end cap to finish those off and trim them out when we're done. Anyway, if that's something you're going to be doing and you're looking for tips and tricks on that, then stick around. You're not going to want to miss this. All right, let's not waste any time and jump right in. Let's go. Alright guys, as with all floors, the first thing we gotta do is cut these door jambs. So, this guy, one of my favorite tools. Now I did announce this in the other video, but I did want to remind you in case you guys did not see that video. Be careful when you're cutting the door casing, because a lot of times if you have an alarm system inside your house, they usually run the wire down through the door, and a lot of times they'll run it through the casing at the bottom, and you'll be able to tell because there'll be a little dot down there where they plugged it up with some kind of putty or a little plug that they use. And if it's not running down through the bottom, it'll be running up at the top, and you'll see like the little magnetic things where they rub back and forth. So anyway, be looking for that, and also just look underneath the door to see if you see any wires under there. If you don't even see any wires on there, you're probably safe to go and go ahead and cut your door jambs. But just wanted to let you know that before you start cutting. All right, here we go. Just take a piece of the pad you're using, a scrap piece of wood. All right, you guys can see where I've cut this. It's back about another, looks like it's back about 1.5 inches right there. And that's just to make sure that I can either notch it or bring it at an angle and get it close to the door as possible. That way when I go to bring it in, I can notch it and I make sure there's no gap anywhere here. I'm gonna do the same over here. All right, on to the other side. Okay, as I've stated before, when I get started I'm going across the doorway like this. If I'm going to be going this direction, this is the direction I will be going in. The first thing you want to do is grab you a piece of quarter round and check and see if it's going to be able to fit right here, because that may determine you have to do something different here at the door, and I'll explain. So taking a look at this door, as you can see, when we put our quarter round flat up against that, this little rubber sweep is going to clear, so we are going to be able to use quarter round here. Okay, so right here, we're tight right here up against the baseboard. And as you can see here, we're at 5/8 of an inch. So for me to be able to have an expansion gap over here, I figured the expansion gap in, and it's 4 1/4 width. It's actually 4 1/2, so it's 4 1/4 width it. So I want to add back a little bit back here, and as you can see, being tight and that we are 5/8 of an inch, I want to add some back to that. All right, so I should be able to take off about 3/8 of an inch right here and then notch it back in that way, and then when I shove it in, I have a slight gap right there to nail quarter round in, and I'll still have my expansion gap right here.
I took a measurement of the room before I got started and came up with a starter piece of 4 1/2 inches. With my expansion gap, that will make it 4 1/4.
4 1/4. can take that back in. Now on the other video you saw me do it at an angle, and that's fine. You can do it at an angle, or you could just do it straight. That depends on how far you cut back your baseboard over here. Alright, so I made a 4 1/4 mark right here, and a 4 1/4 mark on this side. And now I'm just going to add 3/8 back to the part that goes up against the door. Oh, look at that, my little notch works on this feet square. You don't always get that lucky. Alright, I'm gonna cut this and I'll be back. Okay guys, it's been my experience whenever doing this, it's always easier just to pull your pieces away from the wall and put them together out here. And you won't have to fight that whole, them coming apart against the wall. That's a little bit annoying. So if you can get them together out here, it's a whole lot easier. So at least the first couple planks. By pulling it off the wall, I'm able to come over on this side of the floor. And of course the last one in this row. So that takes care of our very first row. Now we just got to click our second row in. And I may even do a third row pulled off the wall too. Alright guys, I think I'm going to throw another row in before I push it back. That way I know it's all together as one and strong, and I won't have any issues when it comes to pushing it back. And if you're watching our previous videos, the way we like to stagger our boards is you have a small one, and then a bigger one, and then a small one and a big one, and that way it looks very, very random. So since I have a small one here and I have a bigger one, then I want to get a smaller one somewhere around here, but I want to make sure it's at least the width of the plank away. Generally you want to go 6 to 10 inches depending on the width of your board. 6 to 8 inches is a good number, but sometimes they have those wide planks and you want to go just a little bit wider. Just makes it look a little bit better. So we have this one right here, and look at that. That's going to fit perfect. But here's the deal. See this right here? This wood grain is the exact same as this wood grain, so we don't want to stack that on top of that, so we're just going to have to find us another one. Use this later on. Keep an eye out for stuff like that. I'll just start out with a brand new starter right here, and I'll be able to use the finisher down at that other end. Alright guys, before we go any farther, I wanted to show you the other way, because once I shove this thing in, there's not going to be a way to show you how to do the other style. Now, if you have a situation where you're not going to be able to put the quarter round down because your door threshold is a little bit low, so the quarter round would stick up above it and your door would rub up against it, you're going to have to use a transition. And let me show you a couple ways you could do this. Now, they come with, these 4-in-1s come with like a bull nose, and they come with a slope. You want to use the bull nose, and you want to put it together just like this right here. Okay, now that's one method of doing it. You're going to have to cut your piece of flooring like this. Alright, so this is the way we're doing it right now. And you can see this is kind of mimicking what's going on here. This right here is this right here, except for that goes in a little bit more and goes more closer up to there. But when your threshold is too low and you can't put the quarter around, you need, this is how I would cut it. That way when you slip it in, you can see it's like that. You still have your 1/4 of an inch, but now you have this gap right here, and we can pull out a little bit more. But this piece right here, you're going to want to glue it together, or they come with a metal track which clips it, but I would definitely suggest gluing it together. And it just looks like that right there. That's what it's supposed to look like. Just like that. Alright, and then what we'll want to do is, after we get all of our flooring installed, we want to slip this down in it so that it goes, lips up over top of our flooring here and goes up tight. Now, here's the issue I have with that. In the past, we used to do that and get away with it, but you have this little spot right here that will collect dust. So I would definitely suggest putting some type of clear silicone over that so that you can just come through and wipe that clean without having to worry about dust getting up in there. Now, there's one thing I wanted to make mention on these. When you're installing these, no matter how you do it, this little part right here needs to be cut off, and I'll explain to you why. Whether you're doing it this way right here, you know, and that don't look bad, to be honest with you. If you're doing it like that, you see that little crack, that little gap right there? We want to try to make that go away, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm taking this little piece right here, and I just want to take my razor blade and chew it off at the end right there. Be careful, don't cut yourself. But just make it to where it's flat, almost gone. And that's really about all you need right there. You see how much I've taken away like that? And then of course the little piece that goes down in front, you're going to just want to cut that a little bit short. So when you put it in there, it looks like that right there. Does that make sense? I'll show you what I mean here in just a sec. Alright, so then right here what you want to do is you just want to line that up right there in the back like that. That way when you go to stick your piece in your flooring, that piece slips right over top of it right there, and there's no gaps. See what I'm saying? We slid it over just a little bit, and we did that by chewing off the bottom of that right there. Alright, that's just a little quick tip. I wanted you to know that so you didn't come over here and go, oh, I've got a gap here now. That's how you handle that. And guys, that's how you would handle it if you have a situation where you cannot fit quarter round in there. But back to what we got going on here, I'm going to stick this third row in here, we're going to push this back, and we're going to get on with this install. And I'll show you how to finish it off when we get to the back door. Stick around. All right, then if you guys don't have these spacers yet, I highly suggest getting these spacers. These are the best from Home Depot. Anyway, 1/4 of an inch. So we can go ahead and start pushing our floor back now. We got 3 rows put together. And we want to try to maintain our 1/4 of an inch back here. So these spacers right here are a 1/4 of an inch. And I just like to put them on both sides of the seam. Just makes it easier. Nothing comes apart when you're smacking against stuff. Alright, and so I'm going to go ahead and push that under there. Push this one under here. Spacers down here. And here we go. We got our 1/4 inch expansion there. We got our 1/4 inch expansion through there. It's a little wide right there, but the wall's a little curvy. It actually takes a bow out over here, but we got it 16 inches off the wall both sides, so I'm happy with that. We're gonna go ahead and rock this install out right here, and then when we get to the end back there at the back door, I'm gonna show you how I finish this off up against the exterior door at the back door. So you guys hang with me to the end. All right, holler at you in a minute, bye. All right guys, what's up? We're here. It's actually the 3rd day. I spent 2 days putting most of the floor up. Then it got a little bit late last night, so I didn't want to film last night because it was actually late and I want to make sure I was in the daylight when I did the last row. But here we are at the last row. Let me let you take a look at that. And as you can see, our piece turned out to be somewhere around 1.5 inches, that's okay. I split this room in half in here, and we had 4 inches over there and 4 inches over here on the wall, but when we got out to here, as you can see, sometimes that's what it is. Now if you want to go through and measure your house, I've seen people where they make sure that every single row on each wall is all exactly the same. That's a little bit too much work for me. So right now we got this last strip to put in, and I'm going to be putting it in 2 pieces here at the doorway, because for me that's just the easiest way to do it. I'm going to show you how to get it in there where you could slip it up underneath the door jambs and still have your 1/4 inch expansion gap. All right, let's not waste any time and go jump right in. All right, so I went ahead and got my piece down there installed. I'm just going to line this up down here where it's going to be clicking in, and as you can see I got this done in 2 different pieces. So I'm just going to make a couple points on where all this stuff is. You see where my door jambs are right here, and of course I've cut my baseboard back like I did in the living room right there. So right here, just to let me know that that's where the actual jam stops, I'll make a little mark there, and then this is where it stops back here. Now by making it precise where those 2 points are, I can always come back and make it where it's right where it needs to be. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, now so on this side over here we have 1.25 inches. It says 1.5 inches, but we 1.25 inches with our expansion gap, and then over here we have 2.25 inches, so that would be 2 inches. So inch and a quarter right here. I'm just going to mark that with my fingers here. All right, and of course on the other side, 1.25. So we'll do the same thing over there. It's going to be 1 1/8 inches instead of 1.25 inches, just because it's a little bit off. Tell you what, that black and dark brown pieces in pencil don't show up too good on there. Usually use Sharpie, but haven't done floors in a while, so I haven't had any reason to buy Sharpie, so I don't have any on hand. That's okay. All right, so I'm lining back up right there, and I like doing mine at an angle, guys. You can do however you want. Like some people like to do the little notch there, but once I get right here, I like to angle it back towards where it's going to be, and then actually bring it out to where it is actually going to be final stop, like how far I'm going to do it while it's under here, not over here, because I don't want to have any gaps going on right here. So I'll try to start my angle back here and dive it out while it's still up underneath there. I mean, it'd be the same thing as if you notched it, so it's whatever you prefer. And same thing on the other side, but you can actually see it over here a little bit better. We said we were going 2 over here. All right, so we said we were doing 2 over here, and make a little mark right there. And now you can see where these 2 cross right there. Cross each other. I mean, so this is where this edge right here is what's going to be going up against the door. So remember, I want to come underneath it, not out here, underneath it, and bring that thing back. That way we make sure we have no gaps. All right, that's our cut right there. This all goes away. I know it doesn't make any sense right now, but once I cut it, I'll place it down here and you can see it before I put it in, and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, back to the saw. All right, guys, so here they are. This is what the piece looks like. This is one side. I know, a little bit weird. And then here's the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and slip those in, see if we can't join them together. So far, so good. All right, so we're clicked in down at that end down there. Now I gotta slip this one in and make sure I can pull them back together. So I'm pushing it down underneath the door jamb to make sure it stays under the whole way. All right, guys, we're right there where we can get clicked in. So now what I'm gonna do is go grab a tiny piece, a little rip on that end, and just click it in and just tap it back this way. All right, here's my little piece. I'm just gonna stick it right on the inside there and use that as my tapping block. All right. We are together. That's beautiful. All right, and then you just start at one end and start working it in until it's all the way in. You can use a pry bar. This is a pull bar here.
I wanted to mention, here's a technique I like to use. I like to pry one board into the other one and then just smack straight down on the face. Somehow, the tension against one board and the vibration makes the board work itself into the groove a whole lot easier.
You almost need 3 hands. All right, guys, so that is it right there. We got one back door installed and one front door installed. So that's how you install flooring up against an exterior door, whether it be the front door or the back door. If you guys have any questions about that, please leave them in the comments, because I'm sure I may have skipped over something, but I'll be glad to answer that. Sometimes you're just in the field and you just go and go and go and go, and you don't realize these things just appear easy to you if you do them every day, but they're just not that easy for the everyday DIYer who's just trying to figure it out. So, hope I brought you some value today. If I did, go ahead and smash that like button for me, and if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I think that's going to do it for this one, guys, and I appreciate you hanging around with me this long, and until next time, take care and stay safe. Peace.